All right, guys, thanks for joining us on True Talk. We had a special guest today, Chris Wassarman. There we go. Just some cheers. How we doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you?
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for getting on. And you're in Texas, right? It's a little bit outside of Dallas.
Yeah, I'm in Frisco, about 20 minutes north of Dallas.
Got it. What's funny, Chris, is we knew each other years ago, right? Same industry, different company. And then I remember when I saw your name back on the leaderboard, but it was like a different state. I'm like, is that the same kid? And then we had talked about logo or something. I was like, oh snap, it is. So blast from the past. But so really, I mean, let's hop right into it. Let's get into first of all, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up, Chris?
So originally I'm from Connecticut, northeast corner, Canterbury. So most people, even if you're in Connecticut, don't even know what Canterbury is.
No. If you've been to the corporate office, it's about 20 minutes north.
Yeah, right around there. Yep, right around there. So I grew up there, born and raised, and really never ventured out of the quiet corner.
Okay. And then you went to school up there. Any college at all?
Yeah, I went to college, mostly online. I went to a small community college for a couple of years, and I finished everything out online in biomedical sciences, a degree that I've never used.
Medical? Wow, so medical science.
Yeah. It wasn't applicable to anything that I've done.
Yeah. Now, what was your plan at the time? Why did you even take that?
I wanted to be a pediatric cardiothoracic surgeon. That was my goal. Yeah, I just thought it was cool, but then I got married young and had kids, and just the amount of time and money that it would take to get to that point, it was just, in my opinion, kind of impractical. I had to get started, find a job that could actually pay my bills and put food on my table.
Gotcha.
And with that career path, it's just going to take too long to get to that point.
I gotcha. Okay. And then, so you grew up around here. Play any sports growing up?
Played hockey. I was big in hockey. Competitive. I played competitive hockey.
Really?
I did play my whole life up until I was about 18.
Okay. Did you just stop or get injured or something? Or?
The truth is, I probably could have gone somewhere, not pro or anything, but I could have gone somewhere with it.
Yeah.
But right around the same time, I met my now wife, and 18-year-old kid that was just more important to me at the time, was hanging out with a girl.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing hockey on the sideline and went full time with my relationship.
Hey, it happens, bro. Got to pick one or the other, right? So, and then we met a while back. Like, were you like fresh out of high school when you first got a license? How did that whole thing? I'll let you tell. How did that whole thing play out? We were at a different company before this, and then I think I was selling, and I was maybe training agents at the time, and then you kind of came in with a group that was one of the. I think somebody was a staff member, and then her boyfriend was an agent, and then you kind of got recruited in. So, how did that whole thing play out?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't remember exactly how old I was. If I wasn't still in high school, then I had just graduated. So I was 18, and I was friends with an agent that was selling out of your office, and his girlfriend was a recruiter.
Yes. Yep.
I want to say admin or something. And yeah. So ended up getting connected that way. I just reached out to actually Adam reached out to me and told me about the opportunity and whatnot. I thought it was interesting. I trusted him and whatnot. I already knew him, then I knew his girlfriend. And so I came on and up in Uncasville back in the day for you. I met Sean, small little office.
Yeah.
Good, good culture though. That's one thing that really drew me to you guys, is the culture you had in the office. I thought that was great. And that's why I kept coming back.
Yep.
But then I ended up leaving there. I think I sold for about a year, maybe just shy.
Yeah.
And
were you full-time or were you working somewhere else too?
Well, if you ask me then, I was full-time.
I got you.
Yeah. So I was probably putting in like 25, 30 hours.
Okay.
If that.
Yeah.
And I was 19 or 18, 19. So the money, even at that small commission level at that point, for me as a 19-year-old with no bills, wasn't bad. So
right.
Kept my head in the game a little bit, but I was never serious about it. And I was there for about a year or just shy. And I went off to do, where did I go? I went into the military. And then from there.
Oh, you did? I didn't know. What branch did you join?
I was in the Army.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in the Army. And then when I got out, I was 23, 24, I want to say. Then I ended up becoming a state trooper in Connecticut. Did that. I loved it. Great job as a K-9 killer. But then right now is not the best time to be a cop, especially in Connecticut, with some laws that were passed. Made it tough. So I had a wife and 2 kids, so I had to find something that was more, in my opinion, responsible, where my house and my pension couldn't be taken from me.
Yep.
So I ended up looking into different opportunities. I remember that I had sold life insurance in the past, and I knew that I wanted to find something where I was still able to help people, help families. And because that's the career that I came from. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Just really, as cliche as it sounds, I really like helping people. So I figured it was a really good transition to go into life insurance. Part of my job as a state trooper was to make death notifications. And so I had to go knock on people's door and tell them that a loved one will just kill them, car crash, homicide.
How long were you state trooper for, Chris?
Just over 6 years.
Wow, no kidding. I did not know that. I knew I didn't know it was that long. So now, at what point did you want to be a state trooper? You said you were in the military. Was it while you were serving that, or was it just when you got out you realized that would be a good career?
Yeah, so growing up, I wanted to be pediatric cardiothoracic surgeon, or I wanted to be a cop. So two totally different ends of the spectrum.
Yep.
I could be a cop, and that wasn't going to force me to go to school for 11, 12 years plus residency, and so I could get started a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Any police officers in your family, or was that just something that you wanted?
No, just me. I was the first one.
Wow. Okay. So you made that happen, and then you said 6 years. I mean, starting out, did you enjoy it early on? What year was it when you started?
2015, June 2015.
Okay. Yeah. So a little different back then. You enjoyed it back then?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's exactly what I thought that it was when, growing up, a little more paperwork than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
But the job itself, it was awesome. Like I said, I was a canine handler. So that's a very unique thing. And to be able to see an animal work in the capacity that they do, and to see how well they do, it gives you a really new respect for dogs specifically, and just their capabilities and whatnot. And it's doing something that you really can't do elsewhere. So that was the greatest thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
I really.
I gotcha. And then, so 6 years, I guess, when did you realize okay, I want to do something else? And then how long after that did you actually leave and start that? So policing became very political. There were things that were forced on us that I didn't agree with ethically, and it became very difficult. There were some laws passed, civil laws that were rushed legislation that made the job really hard to do. They stripped away things like qualified immunity and opened us up to a lot of civil liability. You can lose your house, lose your pension. You really don't have to do anything wrong to do that. It's just because of how political it was. And so having a wife and my 2 kids, if something happened to me and we did lose those things, it wasn't just going to affect me. It was going to affect my kids and my wife. Our lives are going to change drastically. So I wanted to be able to take more control over my life, my family's life. And I wanted to alleviate some of the stress and the possible ramifications of that just inherently come with that job. And so, but I still, like I said, I wanted to help people. And, when I was doing that, I was made good money. And think about when you leave a job where you make decent money, is you realize that your bills are right up there with you. So I lived at that income level. Yep.
So that doesn't go away. So I had to find something that I wanted to be passionate about it. I wanted to help people, and I needed to be able to still at least pay my bills. And if I had to make some more on top of that, then I'd be happy with it.
Yeah.
So sort of looking at some different opportunities. And I remember selling life insurance in the past with you guys. And I actually didn't know that Sean had started Family First Life at the time. So I started looking online, and because of my past selling with you guys, I looked up different life insurance IMOs and whatnot, and I came across Family First Life. And it's like, man, I saw Sean and Mike had started it. And the craziest thing, it just, you remember back there, just anything that the guy touched, it turned to gold. Right. And he's the kind of guy that he puts action and he takes action. Not just words. He replaces word with action. That was my perception of him when I worked with him. And everything he did, he was successful. He just figured it out, and made a way for it. And that's a guy that I would follow. And seeing that he started this, I kind of jumped in 2 feet. So what I did is I looked up different offices around the country. I found one down in Dallas. I wanted to get out of Connecticut. So anyway, so I was looking at different areas to move, and I came across an office in Dallas, Rob Bridgman's office. And I looked into him, and he was really impressive. His resume was awesome. And I ended up connecting with him, thought this opportunity was phenomenal. Where else are you going to find something like this? And so at that point, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I wanted to be, but I had to find the exact locations. Then I started looking at the economy and the schools for my kids and whatnot. And so I moved to Frisco, and the schools are some of the top in the country. The economy is phenomenal. It's just a great little city to live in. And I'm super close to Dallas and this office here. So I connected with him, and the rest is history. Here I am now.
Wow. So I didn't know that because, like I said, we started talking again. You were already in Texas. I didn't know you moved there for this opportunity. I thought you had moved and wow. So you basically decided you wanted to leave your job, leave the state, found us, and then, Texas is what you said. Now, prior to this, did you have any interest in going to Texas, or that was just what made the most sense? Like,
so I've always been a little bit biased towards Texas.
Okay.
I like it as a state. Just the economy in Texas has been bulletproof, essentially, depending on which part you go to. So I like Texas, Florida, the Carolinas were really nice. Arizona, a few options that I was looking at. But then I ended up landing on Texas because of, the office here, the economy, the schools, the whole package.
Now, when did you actually move?
I moved in November of 2020.
Okay. So you've been there going on 2 years now. How old are your kids, Chris?
My kids are 6 and 7. She turned 7 2 days ago, and 8. So 7 and 8, two girls.
2 girls. Wow. I got 4. My girls are the younger ones. Mine are 7 and 10. And then my boys are 11. I got to think 11 and 17. They grow up too damn quick. But what did they think about the move? Like, because obviously at that point they're already like into school and stuff, like probably have some local friends. And were they excited, not excited? I'm sure they probably love it now, but what did they think when you first told them?
They were, I would say, hesitantly optimistic.
Okay.
So they, if that makes any sense. They were excited about change. They were excited about coming here. The weather's way nicer. We're not a big fan of the cold like you.
Right.
So that was cool. Just the area we were going to was a lot more things to do and whatnot. And they're all about meeting new people and new friends and stuff. So they were excited about the new opportunity, but a little bit hesitant to leave their friends that they had and the life that they knew.
Yeah. I bet now they love it, though.
Oh, they love it. Yeah, they love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know. I mean, like every time we go somewhere, like we'll go on a vacation, my kids want to move there. We go to New Hampshire. We'll go to New Hampshire. Florida, same thing. Wisconsin, same thing. When I start telling them, like, like all the friends you have now, they're not going to come with us. And then it's like, no, Daddy, we'll just go visit again. So, but that's awesome.
We're good.
Yeah. Now, so you did help families back in the day, like you got your license, you sold for about a year or so. How was that transition getting back into it? Because, I mean, we're talking, over 6 years now, right? And then, like I said, you were here for a year. Very different industry, too. Back then, everything was all paper. I think it was a lot slower, right? I would imagine you probably got started a little quicker this time. But how was that transition? And then, I mean, was there any just nervousness, anxious on your side because it's been so long? And this is, I mean, a big deal, right? Because now, is your wife a stay-at-home mom or does she work as well?
Yeah, she stays at home.
So this is all on you, right? Like the police job supported your family. Now that's no longer there. Now you're kind of starting from scratch, commission-based deal. You get paid for what you do. How was that, like before you even got started, what was going through your mind, and how was that transition?
So I was definitely anxious. I was nervous, not in the sense where I was nervous whether I was going to fail. I was nervous just, picking up the phone, just getting back into it, the natural kind of takeoff. But I knew I was going to make it work. I knew the industry. I knew that I've done this before a little bit. I believed in it. I believed in Sean. I believed in the system that you guys built. But I had to take off the cobwebs, and I had to do it kind of fast because I still had bills, So the transition into this again, it was definitely different. So before, it was all paper apps. The leads were, I don't know how much we can say on that, but they weren't very good.
Right.
Like people complain now, but like leads really weren't good then, And so knowing that I was going to have to buy the leads and dial them, I came into it with that expectation. I knew I was going to have to do that, overcome objections. I was going to have to make a million phone calls. I was game with all that. That was okay.
Yeah.
I was expecting it. Now where I struggled a little bit was learning how to overcome those objections again. It had been so long and I was really, really rusty. So I just made a billion phone calls, and I just had probably every objection you can possibly fathom with them. My first probably 60 days, I'd say I just made got a bunch of leads, made a bunch of phone calls, made a really big mess, and then tried to clean it up. So, and then things started to click after, 60, 90 days. Things started to click. I was making money the whole way along. I was helping families the whole way along. And then I just started getting better and better and better and better. And to the point where I could kind of put it on autopilot. And now I'm trying to do the hybrid system, more telesales stuff, which has been a lot of fun.
Right. Hey, how long did that take? You said, that initial struggle till where you were able to, you said put on autopilot. Was that weeks, months, days? Like how long did that take you?
It took me to get an autopilot probably about 90 days.
Okay.
Probably about 90 days. I started getting pretty good about a month into it, give or take. I was probably helping. I think my first month I helped about 26, 27 families. Following month right around the same, and then the third month things started clicking, and I helped. It's going to be like 60, 65 or so.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, because you helped. I mean, I know we had a convention. You helped over 400 families this year, or last year, I should say. And that's over 40 a month. So you got up to that number relatively quick. And what about the 6 years you spent as a police officer? You're dealing with the public on a completely different level, right? But like you said, you had to deliver death notices. You're knocking on doors, letting people know. How much of that did that help you or hurt you even in that transition back here?
So, definitely both, and I'll explain that. So, part of my job as a cop, you have to be able to take control of situations, whether you're in home and or over the phone or whatever.
Right.
But the way that you take control as a police officer versus how you take control as an insurance agent are vastly different. And I had to kind of learn that, just the way that you lay things out. So that was a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
So it helped in the sense where I was comfortable taking control of the situation, but it kind of hurt me in the sense just how I had to go about that.
Yeah.
Now, where I feel like it helped me a lot, just coming from that profession, is I understood the importance of this coverage. Maybe there's nothing worse. Well, there is, I guess, being on the receiving end, but other than being on the receiving end of that notification, I don't think there's anything worse than having to deliver that news and just you take everything. You've heard the expression, you stare at someone's souls through their eyes. Yeah. And that's literally what it seems like when you give that notification. You talk to somebody and you have to tell them their child or their husband who's 30, 40, 50 years old was just killed in a car accident or plethora of reasons, you name it, but they're dead. And the loved one, when they kissed them goodbye, never thought that would be the last time. And that person that left never thought that'd be the final step through the threshold of their home. And you deliver that news and their whole world comes crashing down. And what I realized is, I would say virtually with every notification, 10, 15 minutes or so into it, and you see that reality kind of start to set in and then realize this is real and this person really isn't coming home again, their mind goes to finances. And it shouldn't in that time. You should deal with the grief. You should deal with the loss. You should comfort your family. You shouldn't worry about how am I going to pay for my house, or can my kids still go to college? Are we going to have to move? All these things. I mean, even their vehicles that they have to give up. How am I going to afford food? So you hear all these things that are going through their mind, where if they just had some kind of life insurance, they wouldn't have to worry about that. Just worry about the grief and consoling your family and your kids, and how are you going to tell them that somebody just was killed? And so seeing that end of it, transitioning that into me selling this product and really being able to help them in a real tangible way helped me I don't want to come off salesy, but not take no for an answer, or at least not leave a house until I am certain that they fully understand the ramifications of not having this coverage. Because I've seen what devastation it causes families that don't have it.
And you think, Chris, your first time around when you were with us, back in the day, you didn't have that? No,
I didn't have that, and I was young, I was immature.
Yeah. Did you have any death claims during that first year or no?
No, I didn't.
No. So this experience as a police officer was the realest, outside of any, personal family, but the realest experience or I guess that you've had to deal with death, right? Delivering that message. Do you remember the first time you had to do that? Like being a new police officer, that first message, does that one stand out or no?
They all stand out. I remember every single one of them. Wow. I can tell you, I can give you the addresses. You know what I mean? Wow. Those really, really stick with you. I saw a lot of crap in that job. Things with kids bothered me the most for sure. But then outside of the things with kids, it was making the death notifications. Yeah. That sticks with you. And
there's got to be messing with you the whole time, right? Because in advance now you got to drive over there. Like, what's even going through your mind at that time? Like, I'm going to see this person. They have no idea I'm coming and deliver the worst possible news that, anyone could deliver. Like, what's even going through your mind at that time?
What's going through my mind is when I do, it's a job and it's just a job, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand that this is something that I have to do. So what I'm doing on my way there is I'm preparing myself to try to remove the human aspect of me and just go into full state trooper mode. And just because when you make a death notification, you have to be strong and you can't kind of be wishy-washy around the fact that somebody was killed. You have to tell them, hey, Mike, I'm Trooper Wassarman with the Connecticut State Police. Is so-and-so your wife? Yes, she is. I'm sorry to inform you, but she was killed in a car accident tonight. You have to be very blunt, very straightforward.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing on my way to those notifications, just reciting what I want to say in my head, and I'll say it out loud over and over. I want to make sure I'm getting the names right. I want to make sure that I'm not stumbling over my words. It has to be very direct, very blunt, and I am just preparing myself for the reaction.
I got you. Hey, last thing, let's wrap with this, Chris. What about, I hear you saying how you're mentally preparing, and what I'm thinking about is like doing the same thing going to appointments, right? Obviously, you're not delivering this, this god-awful message, but you're doing this, you're preparing similar. You got to get in the right mindset. We talk so much about attitude, activity, right? Before you get on the phone, you need to be in the right mindset. Same thing in the home. So are you doing that, or how much has that helped you when you're doing that same thing with your clients? And what is that preparation like for you? Like, does it start before you get on the phone? Or are you one of those guys, phone's no big deal, but it starts before you get on the home? Like, what are you doing mentally to prepare for your day?
Yeah, so phones. I go into phones just thinking that I have to book X amount of appointments, make X amount of phone calls. That's it. My mental preparation comes when I'm en route to a house. And to be honest with you, I had to mentally prepare myself more so in the beginning than I do now, just because I've done it so many times. Where now I just know when I go to an appointment what I'm going to say and how it's going to go and whatnot. But in the beginning, I was going through. Same thing I was doing when I made a death notification. I'm reciting what I'm going to say out loud. I'm going through my script out loud, my presentation out loud, using their names and everything, and just I'm telling myself that these people want this coverage. They need this coverage. I'm not going to leave until they know what this coverage is, until I have an application in hand, and no matter what, So that's what I did in the beginning. Now, like I said, it's just I've done it so many times where I don't really have to prepare so much. It's just a file in my head, and I just take the file out now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, dude, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for all you do, all the families you helped. You're a Hall of Fame producer last year, and I see you're kind of already on that track this year. So, I love what you're doing because, you were a cop because you wanted to help families, and like you said, now you're here doing the same thing. And what you do, it's impactful. What we all do. I mean, you're sitting down with these clients that did not have this coverage before you met them, and when you leave that house, you put them in a better position. So. Thanks for everything you do, dude. Thanks for getting on doing this. Guys, thanks for watching and downloading.